So if you live in this part of the city, this being the western part, LaSalle, Lachine, somewhere in that area, and you're wondering, okay, how am I going to get to use public transit to get to downtown, to get into the city? Well, not to worry. It took 2 years of planning, but apparently there's a project now. And the project, by the way, and I'll say this again, involves 6 different options. And you're being asked as a Montreal citizen to weigh in on this. There will be a series of public consultations. The first one being right now, tonight.
You know why I'm laughing?
Because it's the Office of Public Consultations, and they'll just say, thanks for your time, but no.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to do whatever we want to do.
Find out. PIERRE BARRIEAU is a lecturer over at the University of Montreal in transportation, and I understand you're with some students going to this first session, Mr. Barrriaud, is that correct?
Exactly. They opened up early for us, so I have over 40 students that are just waiting for me to do this interview with you.
Okay.
And then we're heading on in, and we'll be able to do the whole experience.
Cool. So let's explain what this is all about. I said there'll be a series of public consultations. This is to decide what the best plan will be here, and there are a variety of different options. So can you tell us what you think from what you've seen?
Yeah, so basically we have to understand, for your listeners, this has been in the planning stage since 1958, this project. As soon as we shut down the streetcar line and the commuter rail line, the city of Montreal began studying how to better serve Lachine with mass transit. This is not a new project. We've had many, many, many projects over the decades, but hopefully this is the one that's going to stick. So on the table, we have 6 basic scenarios that are being presented. One is expansion of the subway line from Angrignon all the way to Lachine. And the other 5 scenarios are basically light rail, so it's fancy streetcar, if you wish, a bit like what they wanted to build in Quebec City. So the base is going to go from Angrignon all the way to 6th Avenue in Lachine via Newman Boulevard. And then all the rest are, options of maybe instead of ending at 6th Avenue, going all the way to 32nd Avenue, or even all the way to Dorval train station. And on the other end, they're also studying the possibility of not only ending at Lionel-Groux station, at Anguignon station, but also actually going all the way to Square Victoria Station.
Okay.
That's pretty much what's on the table.
So I love that you said this idea has been around since 1958. So 65 years later, we're finally getting around to actually doing something, which will still be a few years away.
Right on time.
We asked the question before, what happened to the mayor's Pink Line proposal? Is this not in there anywhere?
Well, this is exactly the logical continuation of the Pink Line. Because we have to understand the Pink Line was actually 2 projects that were sort of scotch-taped into one. There was the eastern branch, which was the one that went from downtown and went then diagonally all the way to Montreal North. And then there was the western portion, which went from downtown and going west. But the reality is there's not enough ridership to fill an automated subway line on the western portion of the line. And that's why now we're studying Le REM de l'Est, which is an automated subway, or a LRT in the east. That's going to be unveiled in a few months. And in the west, we are looking at most likely streetcar, but potentially bus.
And is this, I hear streetcar, and I think back to, 50 years ago when you say streetcar or tram. Is this a viable idea even in winter, given our weather here?
Many cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul, which has a climate which is, basically Winnipeg level, they have no issues. And actually, their streetcar lines often are the only transit that's available during storms. Streetcars, what's fun about them is in the winter, you basically just run them every 5 minutes to ensure that the tracks stay clean. And the trams are able to less than 10% delay in the worst traffic in the worst storms. When you compare to buses, they can have much, much, much more significant delays. So streetcars are perfectly functional in the winter climate. Their major thing that they don't like is more when we have freezing rain. That's what they don't like. And they don't like leaves. When the leaves fall, then they skid and they have problems braking. But the snow, not an issue.
But, it sounds to me like it's about the same number of problems that you could potentially have with the REM. The REM has had ongoing issues. Would this have been a more affordable and more environmentally responsible decision rather than the REM?
A REM-like project with an automated would have cost 2 to 3 times as much because we'd have to build most of it underground because there's no place to put those aerial structures to get to that area. So since we have to run them underground, it would have been almost the same cost as the subway.
So scratch that.
Okay.
And also, you guys, I heard you guys talking about monorails. The main problem we have with monorails is everybody wants them, but people have to understand monorails were created to try to break the monopoly of the streetcars. And the reason why almost no cities outside of Seattle and Walt Disney and Tokyo and Osaka have built monorails is they're very difficult to operate and build in cities, and theoretically impossible in Montreal's climate, because every time a monorail is going to run on top, he's going to throw all the snow on the bottom. And there's major problems with icicles, and that's why the city of Montreal put that option aside in 1961 after doing very detailed analysis.
Well, I'm kind of sad because I was going to play our song today, from The Simpsons, right, about monorail.
Oh, yeah. Well, sir,
monorail. There's nothing on earth like a genuine, bona fide, electrified 6-car monorail. What I say?
Monorail.
What's it called?
Monorail.
That's right, monorail.
Monorail.
So I'm sorry that we're not going to be able to get that. It would have been lovely to be able to use that and say we're getting a monorail, but apparently that's not going to happen.
No, but a monorail is one of those great things that everybody wants, but when you get to the nuts and bolts, unfortunately, we have to look at something else.
Mr. Barrieau, I want to thank you so much for your time. I hope we can talk about this again. There are going to be a few public consultations. Maybe we can chat back again a few weeks later.
Most definitely. And we'll see each other in a few months also for when they'll be unveiling the project in the East.
Okay, there you go. Pierre Barrieau from the University of Montreal.